Okay, Christy, you wanna? Yeah. So Karen gets to live in Vegas and retired and hangs out with her grandson. So
How old's your grandson, Karen?
10,
10. Third grade, fourth grade, third.
going into fifth.
Oh, going into fifth. Ah, big
Yeah,
deal.
yeah,
Big deal.
middle school type thing, getting next
Okay.
year. Yeah, so big deal.
Big deal is right. And Jamaica, what did you teach? High
I
school.
taught high school English, mostly seniors, and then I
Oh,
was the administrator for athletics and activities for a few years. So
oh, and where was that? Just curious.
Vegas as well, actually.
Oh,
I didn't
oh,
know Karen when I lived in Vegas, so she came in after I had left. So
okay, okay. Oh,
yeah,
so English, that will help with scholarships, looking at applications and things. I bet you
it does.
really through a lot of interesting things. But I'm Christy Lynn. I'm one of the 37 graduates of WSU from my family. And yesterday I had 100, almost 170 kids at my Coug welcome party with parents included. It was absolutely amazing. So um, I
Wow.
love that the high school solicitation and engagement is my committee because I am all over it. Talked to a few admissions people and we're ready to get going with that. So love WSU. I'm an elementary school teacher, but I've been subbing the last couple years, third grade through 12th. That's been just a joy. And then I'm just in a long-term sub right now. Today is report card day. So in a fourth grade class, which I love. So yeah, education and WSU go hand in hand. So great to be here. I love this committee.
170 people, Christy. That's wild. She does
It
this at
was
kickoff party in summer.
unbelievable. I'll have to send you some photos.
Jeez.
So good.
Is that a record or close to a
Oh
record?
yeah, it's a record. I mean, we usually what we do is we all get around and then we introduce each other. Like, where are you from? What are you looking forward to at WSU? And then what's happened? Alumni come because they want to be a part, and that's the best way to get kids excited about
Hmm.
Washington State is through the alumni. And a lot of alumni came too, but they go through and the alumni say something about how you can get involved at WSU or what's a favorite highlight. And it was a good 40 minutes and everyone was so engaged and loving it and crying and clapping and cheering and it was so good.
Yay.
Yeah.
Thank you. And you've been doing the committee for a number of years now, but you had different capacities with scholarships through the past.
Well, this is like my second year with scholarship, but I had done it years and years ago, like too many.
Yes. Kathy, you want to go next?
Yeah, so Cassie Hodgen, I am a graduate class of 2009. I got my degree in athletic training. And then I had an opportunity in 2013 to come back on staff. I work here in Pullman in athletics. I'm the athletic trainer for the women's rowing team. I have been doing scholarship selections for I'd say 10 plus years. I can't actually remember when I started, but it's been a really long time. And I really enjoy it. I've seen the way it's progressed from being committee based or being like
Calendar based.
yes, yep, that based to what we did this year. And yeah, when I got the reach out about being on this, I just think it's great. I have actually done a number of scholarship things. I also do scholarship selections with my professional association, and so when we were doing some overhaul, I've actually it's kind of worked back and forth. Like each group makes a couple of changes, so then it happens the next year the group wants to make a change, and I was like, oh, we actually had this really great thing. So it's kind of worked. The exchanging back and forth has worked really well, but it's one of the things I really enjoy. So I was excited about the opportunity to be a little bit more involved.
Thank you, Kathy. And Kira.
Cassie, first off, super fun. You are working with the women's rowing. One of my best friends when I went to WSU, she was rowing at WSU.
Oh,
Loved it.
fun.
Yeah, right. Small world. Well, when it comes to scholarship reviews and committees, I am the baby here. I this is the first year I've done it for WSU, and I also did it for one of Eastern's honor societies. And I live in Seattle, Washington. I'm a first generation Coug, but my husband and my puppy are big Cougar fans now. Both have jerseys, it's important.
Mhm.
I majored in apparel merchandising. with a minor in art history, and now I am an instructional designer, so I create trainings for a financial company.
Very cool. Thank you. We're missing a few people. Bree is in Texas. She may be subbing today, but she just got a job. She just graduated their MBA from WSU in May, which is pretty excited. Shoma is a WSU employee. She's actually has a family thing going on. She's going to join us if she gets back in time for that. And then Franny is a nurse who works nights, so I'm guessing she's probably sleeping right now. She lives in Yakima area. And then our other new person to the committee, his name is Scott. He's a WSUAA vice president for this next year. And that position changes every year. We get the next year's vice president that comes into that. He's been an active volunteer for many years too. So we've got a real range of people on this committee. Everybody loves Cougs and wants to help support more Cougs. And who doesn't like giving away other people's money? That's like my favorite thing to do, especially for good reason. So awesome. I'm going to go ahead and move it over to Karen. Did everybody get the agenda? If you want to follow along here, sorry too. I'm kind of preparing for next year, which is wild to think about since school hasn't even started for 26 yet, but we have to be way ahead. And sorry, Karen, I'm going to set the stage a little bit for the new people on the call too. One of the requests we get all the time is how come it's so early that we do our nominations, our applications. It's November 1st to January 31st. The reason we have it end January 31st because that's a priority deadline for the university as well, and for FAFSA things. Priority, not hard for them. It is a hard deadline for us because it is a process to go through, and it takes time. And we start that first week of February, and it takes us till the middle of April to get through all of our process. We have shifted the timeline a little bit this year based on our experiences with the new changes that we did, but that's why we end so early. One thing every year, I've already gotten 4 or 5 emails. Hey, I'm an alum. My kids come to WSU. Is there a scholarship? You missed this year. I'm sorry. It ended back in January. And so one of my big pushes I want to do, and we'll see it on here, is doing a workshop in October for parents and students, but also doing a bigger push to our alumni about the scholarships so I don't get so many of those. Side note, I've gotten 2 or 3 in the last year from people I went to college with that they have a freshman and I have a first grader. Well, he's a second grader now. And it's just the weirdest thing to think about that our lives that were so parallel. Now I've got a second grader and they have a college kid. Very strange. But so that's one of the reasons, and we start so early. So the goal is by the end of summer, we're ready to go. So August, September, October, we are running, things are going, but everything's in place so we can just move forward with things. And that's one of the reasons we start so early. So setting the stage there. Karen, take it away.
Perfect. Are you able to share, since I'm not, share your
Oh, yeah,
screen?
yeah.
Do you want to put up our notes and we'll scroll down. I think what I'll start with is just kind of an overview of the calendar of that timeline we were just talking about.
Yep, let me situate here.
Yeah. All right. So hopefully everybody can see that. Apologize for my technical difficulties here, but as she was just mentioning, it's like Jamaica was like, what? Why are we starting so early? So here's, if you look what we have coming up for September 1st, which is so amazingly close if you think about it, just months away. Here's what we want to have completed. So while we're working on these subcommittees, we want to be able to do some of the process improvements, enhancements, refinements, and get them all ready to go by September 1st. And then from there, we'll talk about it a little bit more in detail, the student parent workshop. And then as you can see the timeline, November 1st. Before you know it, it's November 1st. The portal opens, and by January 31st, it's closed. And then from there on, just shortly after that, starting February 7th, we're going into that evaluation process. So with that being said, if you want to scroll back, Jamaica, to our committees, our cycle preparations for the subcommittees. This is what I think we should focus on today, of kind of what the committees are, who's aligned to what committees, and if you're not aligned to committees yet, then where your interest lies. So high school solicitation and engagements, that's a sweet spot. That's like was custom made for Christy. I'm so excited. This is going to be a new subcommittee. So it's how to increase that outreach and engagement with our high school applicants. And right now it's in its infancy. Christy and her team will be looking to see what they can do to increase that engagement, that application rate, etc. Jamaica or Christy, anybody want to add anything about that?
I have two quick things. So step one back. So we have our core committee, everyone I listed off and on the screen. There's also another handful of a good handful of people that want to be more involved, but not necessarily on the committee level. And so it's not just Christy doing this. We have other committees. So the thought is after we go through today, kind of divide out. And if we need to adjust these subcommittees, this is not set in stone. It's just what we thought made sense. Then we'll reach out to all of those other people and say, hey, here's our subcommittees. What would you like to be a part of? And then I'll connect the lead with those other individuals. So it's not just you or me, just a small group doing it. So number one. Secondly, with that group that Christy is leading there, the last one is reviving that chapter scholarship committee. And that's something that we neglected a little bit this year. And Cassie served in that role, so you probably felt it a little bit. And then I got a couple of people that mentioned it. Is even though we're not giving out our scholarships by chapter and care, that's how it's been going for years, is by chapter. Each chapter got one. King County and Spokane got more just because of their numbers, but we changed it to a ranking system. Best of the best are getting the awards. But I think if we revive the chapters, and Christy, that's going to be your point to helping with some of those high school connections and those different chapters too. And so really identifying who is the chapter person so we can give them the ways. It's not just the five of us that are supposed to be contacting every high schooler across the country. We need the chapters involved in that as well. And then also with that, hey, let's review that your application and see how it looks. How can we make it better? How do we prepare you for the interview? So I think those committees will actually be able to work together as well. So those are the two things I want to throw. Christy, do you have anything else for your?
That sounds great. And reaching out to those chapters, like David Nelson, I was talking with him the other day, and then also talking to the admissions. Delta was with us yesterday and had some great ideas of how to engage with high schools, with high school counselors, and with alumni. And together, the three can be an incredible team. We're really excited. But getting a lot of feedback from the admissions and how they're doing it and how they're reaching out to students. Basically, they just need more people involved, and with the chapters, it's going to be great to get the ball rolling.
Yeah,
Because
awesome.
and just talking to so many people about this situation, the different, rushing state has changed over the years, and the one thing that we have that's never changed is the alumni participation and love for the school. And if we can start sharing that with students and getting them involved and letting them know about the scholarship earlier, and just also be thinking, just having good conversations with kids, and that might look many different ways as I've talked to different people, but I'd love to come together and start talking more about this, because I think it can change. It's already a great place to be, but also just making it a little bit better.
Yeah, no, we're excited to have this and you spearheading it. And I would just say, keep in mind, you've got some big and lofty goals. We're in our infancy. So this is great. So we can kind of build a framework and a foundation for the initial structure. And maybe it'll take a few years to get it kind of really fully enhanced and fully baked. That's what we're finding out after the changes from last year. So then moving on, volunteer handbook is our second subcommittee. Currently, for the past year and this current year, myself and Bree have been on that. And we did pretty heavy revisions and updates to the volunteer handbook to make it more user friendly, make it more clear and understandable. So this year, it's not going to be too intensive. We're looking closely at all the survey feedback that we received, and then using that to kind of just make some additional enhancements and updates. Any questions or anything someone wants to know about volunteer handbooks?
And Bree jumped on. Hi, Bree. Good to see you.
Hi, Bree. Welcome. So then we have questions, revisions, rubric adjustments. So last year, we implemented quite a few changes in not only the format and the style of the questions, but also the scoring. And wanted to make something that was easier to score and assess with the students. And we did get some feedback, substantial feedback that we've listened to, that the questions at times were a bit lengthy, a bit redundant. So now we're going to look at those changes that we made last year, the evaluations, and see how we can still have the same flavor, the same impact of what we're trying to obtain in our responses from the students, but maybe make it a little bit more clear for the students and also for our volunteers that are helping to evaluate and also conduct the interviews. Jamaica, you want to jump in with anything else that you have to add?
No, I think that's the main thing, just really looking at that feedback that came, because again, we have the committee and everything. It's not going to be, there's going to be revisions. That rubric, they put a lot of work into that, and it's helping to standardize the scoring, and we're finding that it helped, but there's still room for improvement on it. So really, it's just making those improvements. Yes, Cassie.
Yeah, I was going to say I did really like the change to the questions, particularly in the interview, but they were very multi-part. And I noticed we actually, kudos to Roxanne. Roxanne was in the group that I was doing, and she was actually copying and pasting the question into the chat so that the kid had it to go back and look as a reference, because they were quite I mean, I love the answers we got out of them, but they were very multi-part.
Yeah, we agree. I think that will be depending on what any adjustments or changes we made. If it were still that same, that in our training for the interviews, we have it set up that it's kind of a best practice where the question is read to the student, but it's also cut and paste and dropped in the chat. So they have it to look at, because I think that was a lot for them to try to remember, think, and answer to. And then just a really quick side note, we're also going to see what we can do to hide more of that personal information. That's just kind of a small lift there. See what we can do just to make it more in that blinded format that we're striving for. Any questions from the group on the questions, revisions, and rubrics? All right. So then trainings. So far, that's going to be with Jamaica and Kara. We have a new kind of subcommittee of the subcommittee that we are adding this year. And I can't, maybe it's Jamaica that I give credit to. I can't remember who, but a state of the students. And this is really going to be important and helpful for our volunteers. So we're going to be working to formulate, assess, define what does a 2027-2028 student look like. They're not the same as someone that graduated in 2010 or 2000, or so we want to make sure that our volunteers are well informed, well armed with helping to level set what is a successful student in leadership in our current time. And then team lead training. So that was also based on feedback as well on our surveys. We had everybody attending all the training, but this year we're going to add and focus enhanced separate trainings for the team leads. It was great. Last year was a huge growth year of volunteers, which meant that some of our team leads were not only new to being the team lead, but they were new to even working as a volunteer on the scholarship committee. So we're going to help them, arm them with more uh, information, how to's, expectations prior to getting their groups together. We want to be very cognizant, however, though, that our training is complete and sufficient enough for everyone to have a good understanding and comfort, but also we hear you too. We're going to be trying to be very mindful of not having extensive training. We're also going to possibly look at, based on feedback, do the some of the volunteers that have done this before, maybe they just need to attend a refresher course and not all of the other things. Um, any questions, comments on trainings before we move on to the next group? Student support. So last year was our first year to have a student guidebook. Um, that was based on years prior and some feedback that it would be helpful for the students to have a place to go. I think for our first year launching it out, overall it turned out great. It was well received. But again, just like the volunteer handbook, there's more that we can put in there. We're hoping to add resources from partners, from ASCC, scholarship services. I think will be a really good resource of how we can utilize that. I always try to plug Kooks Connect, but definitely enhancing that as well. So that's going to be something that, although it's been newly hatched, it's still really in its infancy. And so for those that are on that subcommittee, really can help kind of shape and guide what we provide to the students. And then workshops. I'm going to let you speak to that, Jamaica.
Yeah, like I mentioned before the portal even opens in October, we want to do a overview workshop for everyone, parents and students and alumni, anyone that might be interested, to let them know the process, understand it better, what to expect going into it. And then last year we did a scholarship cafe modeled after other things that ASCC, the Academic Career Service Center, Academic Success and Career Center, has done before. We had an hour, learned a lot from that, some formatting stuff, how we going to run that better. It was a hybrid. Christy and Karen joined me online for that. And then we had people in the building at ASCC, but doing that, but giving it more structure this year. This year is kind of our trial. Got some good feedback from those that attended. We didn't have a huge attendance. We did have a decent number of people, but doing that again once or twice. So it's more asking, reminding them of the tips and tricks of the scholarships applications, answering any individual questions if they want some help on things. And then partnering again with those other groups that are doing this stuff. There's so many groups out there doing it. Let's combine forces and work on it together. So that's the workshops we're referencing here, those ones particularly, specifically.
Yeah. And then can process revisions. I'm going to let you kind of explain
Yeah.
the cut scores and the changes we're looking to make when we go from the written to the interview round.
Yeah, the way that we did it this year, so all of the written material evaluations were done, and then the teams said, okay, these 5 of the 8 would like to move to an interview, and it was up to the team to decide if those candidates met the minimum qualifications expectations, and then went to the interview round. There was some not discrepancies. Teams looked at it differently. One team that was much more lenient might have moved 5 students on, and one that was a little stricter, maybe only 2 or 3 students. So now that we have the data from last year, my goal is to go back and look at that and let's make a cut score. So if they're on the written material, if you have 4 people and I'm an English major, so I'm going to easy math. 4 people and they give 10 points each. And so there's a total of 40 points. If we say that anyone that has more than 25 points goes to the next round. And then it takes out those differences between the committees, because now we have a cut score, and using those rubrics, hopefully those scores are somewhat consistent throughout. But this way it's much easier for committee. They don't have to hem and haw about should we push them on, should we not. You have a score to use as your basis to move forward, and that'll be helpful. And then those final rankings, what we did, we took the written score, we took the interview score, and we ranked it, and that's how we saw our students. And I looked at total scores and also average scores, and they were pretty much the same all the way down. So it worked really well. But this year, if we create some kind of a cut score, it just helps, and it'll help the volunteers, I think, understand the process. There was still the comment of our recommendation is this person. Well, you're not really recommending a person, you're giving a score, and if they fit in the top number of 50 awards or whatever, we actually went down to 54 awards or something this year. Then they got the awards. And then we had like two students that aren't coming back. So we went to the next person in line, and it was a very fair process that way. So just making sure that is super clear for everyone to understand up front. Out externally, no one needs to know what those scores are and such, but internally as a team, all the committee members will be aware of that. So just again, more consistent across the board.
Right. And I think we're adding it's going to be a very easy list, something to implement. We're also going to within reviewer making sure that we are which way did we have it? So those that are not moving forward, we need to have clarity, a response from that application scholarship reviewer of why that student is not moving forward. We think that's going to help as we're trying to figure out and align things there as well. Then last but not least, we mentioned it briefly in alignment with Christie's subcommittee. So a chapter scholarship committee. So as everyone's well aware, this past scholarship season round was just by student rather than by chapter. So a significant change for some. And we knew that would change what it looks like of how the chapters are involved. So we want to help enhance and support them, supporting the engagement of this scholarship opportunity. And kind of we're hoping that in most chapters we can identify a contact person that's interested and will be able to help promote the scholarship opportunity within their chapter, maybe do some outreach. They could even do almost do little local office hours or
Mhm.
trainings that they could attend. Obviously, some of our chapters in different parts of the United States have very limited numbers, if any at all, that apply for these scholarships. But this is going to be especially important in, say, Washington, Idaho, Arizona, and parts of Oregon, such as Vancouver, where we can really enhance for the chapters their feeling of belonging and participation for this scholarship opportunity.
And those individuals will also be welcome to serve on the selection committee if they want to, or they can just really focus their energies on. So that's up to each individual at this point, on their ability and desire to where they want to serve.
Right, right. We'll probably possibly model it a little bit after um, Skagit County, where they're very involved in their outreach for the scholarship because they have their own individual ones as well. But I think taking, say, from David, and I can't think of her name right now, that are very involved in that, we can get some ideas and inspirations on how we're going to do that.
And I'd also
Any
like it to be, sorry, to expand the reach outside of just a scholarship season too. So this year at the end, we did email all of the chapters, the recipients for the year, and also the volunteers, just to say thank you for serving. And if you'd like to be more involved, we're here. No pressure, because some people just want to do scholarship committee. And so as a volunteer, we don't want to push people to do more than they're wanting to, but just the opportunity to open that door there. But also, we sent an email to the chapters of the last 3 years recipients just to do another outreach too. Hey, are you back in the area? Do you want to be involved? And I can't, after we send that out, let's give as much information as we can and ideas, but we can't force the hand of all these chapter people. And again, each of them has their own lives to do too, but it would be nice if there was some more outreach there to follow up with these students. And we try to keep them engaged through Kooks Connect and through some of the other things that are happening. But we can do a better job of that.
Definitely. All right.
Um,
So those are our subcommittees, and who's heading those up. Hopefully, this gave you kind of an overview of where you, if you haven't already aligned yourself where you'd like to be, and add your passion, your experience, your expertise. Any questions before we move on from final questions on our subcommittees.
Or anything that was missed that you think we need to dedicate a, that doesn't mean there's not other things to do. These are just the
Right.
main ones. There's lots of other little logistical type of things that we need to work on, like Zoom links and things like that, things that I can handle internally that we don't need committees to work on.
Yes, I mean, there were so many great comments and suggestions from our survey, and 95% of them made sense and were valid, and they're little things that we can just say, "Oh, you're right. I didn't think of that. Let's switch this or do that." So there's still lots of other things that are going to be improving and evolving, but on a very minute little short time frame where it doesn't need a committee of its own. This is where we feel we need to put meat in enhancing and developing these areas. So hopefully everybody has kind of walked away going, oh, okay, I think I know where my interests or my passions or my abilities would help support on what committee. And you are welcome to be on more than one committee if that is if you are so inclined and your schedule, et cetera, allows that. How we work this, just to kind of explain this then, as this is the launch of our 27-28 scholarship round coming up, preparing, and as we talked about, we have the dates of September 1st. So once we have our subcommittees and their team members aligned and set up, the work is done individually by the subcommittees, and sometimes depending on what you're working on, it's even done individually on your own independently what you need to do. So for example, with Bree and I working on the volunteer handbook, it wasn't us getting together 2, 3, 4 times a week working on things. We created a master Google Doc. We divided it up. We talked about areas that we wanted to pick and work on, and then we would work independently on what we needed to complete and then meet periodically, say every week or two, briefly to just catch up and discuss. Okay, how does this look? What's our next steps? What should we add here, etc. So I don't want to scare anyone away thinking that being part of a subcommittee would involve hours and hours of committee meetings, subcommittee things. Sometimes we're working on that independently. Does that make sense to everyone a little bit there?
Does anyone want to change or adjust or add to anything at this point? You can think about it too. I'll send a follow up because we have a few people that need to add themselves too.
Yeah, why don't we maybe give
Oh,
people.
Cassie.
Sorry, go
Yeah,
ahead, Cassie.
no worries. I think I'm just gonna echo what I shot in that email when I before I heard the descriptions, before I knew I could make it. I'm probably most interested in number 7, the revival of chapter scholarship committees.
Okay,
Since
great.
that's kind of the thing that I mean, Andrew keeps fobbing it off on me to do for Palouse chapter anyways. So I feel pretty good about that one.
Excellent. And I
Awesome.
think that's great because you'll be working with Scott and you know it'll be it sounds like you've got interest, experience, and some ideas to share. So that will be great. And don't want to put anybody on the spot. You know what we can do is say give all of you time to a day or two to noodle this a little bit if you have other interests or areas or want to be realigned. But anybody have any changes or ads that they know of for right now in regards to what subcommittee you're interested in serving on?
Okay, cool.
Cool. All right. Should we go over next steps?
Yeah. So I will take this. I'll follow up with the full committee to make sure there's a lead assigned to each committee. And if there's not, this is part of my job is doing this. I'll take over whatever areas needed. I am always here for as a resource. Please do not ever hesitate to reach out for anything I can do to help you out through the process here too. And don't spend time trying to create something that might already be out there too. If you're like, oh, it'd be great if we had a list of, ask me before you take the time to do it because I might actually have it already and save you the headache. Um, there is a link there, the 26, 27 notes for next year. Funny story, you'll see at the top, it's called the Overt Raccoon because the year before we were calling it the Secret Squirrel Mission, and now it's the Overt Raccoon, and that's where that name came from. Was it you or Roxanne that came up? I
I
think
think that was
Roxanne.
Roxanne that had
Yeah,
over too.
it's just perfect. So we had to go with it. So there is a bazillion notes in there, and they are from emails that were sent in, from survey highlights, from comments that were made. So there's just a ton of stuff there. So in your leisure time, as you're having your coffee at the morning, scroll through, especially ones that are relevant to your subcommittee. I try to divide them up the best I could, but there's just a ton of stuff in there. And you'll start saying, oh, there's some different trends, or you'll say, that's a great idea. Feel free to highlight it, comment on, tag us, whatever it is. If you see something that you think really needs some extra attention, but that's a good resource there.
So we want to
Um,
make sure maybe Jamaica that not only do they have reading rights, but edit rights
mhm.
if we want them to make comments.
Let
So
me make
you'll
sure.
notice when you go into there, we have our little side discussions where we're um, asking our questions and comments, and then we'll go on and eventually we work on resolving things. But we have over 15 pages of all kind of notes and feedback, and you don't have to absorb it all at once, but those of you that are new to being on a committee or a subcommittee, it really, I think, helps give you some of the history and understanding of what's happened over the last few years, and just give you an idea of, I mean, we had to figure out how many words for things and the point scoring and all kinds of things, and listen, make sure that we're addressing questions and feedbacks from our volunteers. So it's very interesting, and you don't have to get through it all in one sitting.
You'll also see, like anything, there's opinions on both sides. So some people thought something was perfect, and someone thought it was the worst thing ever. And so it's figuring out how do we find that middle ground for them. That the count comment made me think of that. So as we get in the subcommittees, we'll make sure that we share with you the specific things that came up, so that you aren't focusing on this when this was actually the reason that we thought it was a important subcommittee. So we'll share that out. If you're not on Coop Connect, here's my plug right there. Easy do it. Cassie started a group today with alumni from the program. I'm so excited.
Oh,
But Chrissy, I'm thinking too, that'll be a great way to pull some of those students in together. And I know, I think, I hope Mariah brought over some goodies. She was supposed to help promote. But really, with the workshops and the support, that's also a great place. Well, there's a blurb on there. So if a student is working on their scholarship application, they go in and they look for help. Someone who wants to help them with scholarships, there's actually a template in there that says, hi, blah, blah, blah. I'm working on my scholarship application. Would love some assistance. And I'll send a message to them, and they can actually connect right on the platform to help each other out there. So that'll be something we push a lot more this year too. For our meetings next year. So as Karen was saying, we love September 1, working backwards. If we can, meet end of July-ish, just to get subcommittee update and kind of let everybody know where we're at. And then our official fall kickoff maybe on the 14th of September, and that gives us a few weeks before the October comes into, and November kicks off with the portal. I'll send a committee out, or a poll out to the committee for feedback on those, but that's kind of the schedule we're looking at for right now. I know summer is crazy. People are busy, but again, trying to start early so we have the time to get things done.
right. So just to clarify, add to that. So that would be the meeting that we're targeting for that middle of July, 20th, 21st, 22nd. That's so you're once we have our subcommittees formed and aligned, then you'll be working independently at your own pace of what you need to do to kind of hit that mid mark. And then with the idea that you've got to hit the completion mark in September 1st. So that's up to you to decide the frequency, etc., of what you need to do to meet, but be prepared that hopefully maybe you've got a good running start, a foundation when we meet mid-July to provide updates from your committee, if that helps to clarify.
I didn't go all the way down earlier when we are looking at this timeline here too. As far as the volunteer recruitment, it actually worked really well. So I'm going to keep the same format for that. I've added a few things to the form. I put in there a cell number and permission us to text, because I think the team leads have an easier time getting a hold of people if they get text, because so many of them went to spam. So I put a little blurb in there. I'm okay if WSUAA team lead texts me or whatever that is. And I added a couple other things from like what chapter they're involved with, just so we have more information on our end too, because I had ended up going up a whole bunch of different information, but it was so cool to see so many volunteers that came in that have never been involved with anything association in the past. So that was awesome. So here's the rest of the year we're looking at there. Same April 20th is that date we try to tell everybody if they've gotten their award or not, because by May 1st, the university likes to have that I'm coming back, I'm not coming back answer. And so that gives them a week and a half before they get there, before um, they have to make that final decision. And so that was a
And
lot of
what's
information. Yeah.
yes, and what's nice about our schedule is it seems like a lot, and it some of it seems so far away but comes so close. But what really I think is great for most of us is during the holidays. There's not a lot that we're doing or needing to meet. We've kind of got everything set in place and prepared. It's just getting that information out there. It's on the students at that time that they are looking at it and getting their application is. So I don't want anybody to worry or have concerns of, is this going to affect my holidays or travel plans, etc. It's a nice breathing time before we go into that kind of phase 2 when we have active applicants and starting that review process. Any
Anything?
questions?
I think I have, just thinking about the high school and engagement, and then uh, like I'd love to get started. I don't know, I'd love to have a few high school counselors. I'd like a few on the committee, an admissions person. I'm looking at Cassie's doing the chapter revision, revising that, like David Nelson from King County, or we probably should work hand in hand in that committee of working with that. But I guess my question is, what should the timeline for me, because we need to start September 1st. I mean, getting that going and getting into high schools. Uh, uh, I guess my question is, what would you like me to come back with July, September? I hear you going my own pace, but uh, yeah.
Let's
Ah,
so to get the rest of our subcommittees formed,
Okay.
I'm just looking at the calendar here and trying to be realistic. So if I reach out to the rest of our committee, give a few days, 'cause there's just one or two people that we need to get onto a subcommittee, and then if we're happy with these subcommittees, though, I will go ahead and send this out to the rest of our volunteers that want to be a part of it, and I can even have maybe by the 19th a list of those subcommittees, and then pass those out, and you guys can get going. And then when
Okay.
you get to that point, let us know that you're ready, and we'll make sure that you have the information from us that you need, and then start running. I love getting things done early. It's one of my favorites. So
Okay. Okay. That's great.
and
yeah.
Christy, I'm happy to kind of be a auxiliary shadow side person, and kind of toss around ideas with you and who's other on the committee. And I would just say, like what I was prefacing before, maybe spend some time noodling, like what big picture, what would it really look like, how, I mean, because there's so many things to make it amazing, but then take reality to it and say, okay, given the time frame and we kind of want to test the waters, let's just launch phase 1, knowing that there can be bigger and better and brighter opportunities that you can expand and enhance, but just starting with, you know, overall big picture. What do
Yeah.
we want to look at? What can we lift this year? And that's what we were doing. Say, for example, I think I mentioned it before with the student guidebook. You
Mhm.
know, is it perfect? It's first. No, that was our first edition. And then there's so much more that we can do to add to that.
Sounds good.
Otherwise, you'll be pulling your hair out, and you have lovely hair.
Oh, ha, ha, ha. It's something though I've been like dreaming about, not just now. It's been years. I'm like how to engage with high school students and doing recruiting for, yeah. So I'm just really excited. Well, it may
No,
take
we're so
years, but I'm
excited we're
all in. It's gonna be
heading
good.
this up, but just yeah, just pace yourself so that you don't wear yourself out, and just know that we have other years to grow it, enhance it, and improve it.
Thanks, Karen. That's great.
But I'm happy to noodle things with you. I'm around a lot this next week. Nothing's particularly scheduled, so happy to get on a call or a Zoom or whatever, and just hear your ideas and see what you think. And yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Last week of school, so this is a little crazy, and then I'm
Yeah.
heading
Yes.
down, but we will do it for sure. I really appreciate that offer. Thanks, Karen.
Yeah, you can
And
just go
Karen,
ahead. So when dust clears, put a date on the calendar, and I'll make it work.
Karen's background is in HR. Do you want to give it a little bit more of your, because her professional background actually helped us a lot with what we did this year too. And so that's the nice thing about being in different fields is that we can tap into each other's strengths there.
Love it.
Right. So I kind of took it from, I guess I don't know what I would call it, the person just from my HR recruiting background, making sure, is the playing field level set for all? Are we being fair and equitable to all? How can, we make sure, even though the landscape has changed over the last few years, being inclusive as possible with our, not only our students, but with our volunteers. So and I think I neglected to mention that in the beginning. So I love and I'm so passionate about the scholarship opportunity, but I'm also passionate about, I want it to be a great experience, or I should say we, Jamaica and I, and even Roxanne, we want it to be a great and rewarding experience for those of us that are volunteering. So not just a good outcome for the student, but we want to make sure that, oh, I love that. I think I would do it again. That type of thing, like, oh, this is my passion. And for when you have the rare opportunity, it doesn't always happen. I wish we could do it more often, to actually meet some of the scholarship recipients. We've done that before. We did that last year. We met a couple. I'm trying to remember this year, but to meet someone who has received those applications, or or been awarded that scholarship, is it just brings it full circle, and it's wonderful. But yes, we want to make it a great experience for the students and the volunteers.
Okay.
Anything that anyone else wants to add? Hopefully nobody's feeling deer in the headlights, or oh no, what did I just get myself into? Feel free to reach out to either one of us for questions, concerns, or if you're torn on what subcommittee you'd like to be a part of. But you know there is a lot to do. Does it move at a somewhat fast pace? Yes and no at certain times, but we are taking small bites of the elephant along the way, and it is manageable, I promise you.
Well, thank you, everyone. I will save the recording to the top of the agenda meeting agenda and email it out. And then again, we'll circle back, and then I'll give you by the end of the 19th. By the 19th, you'll have your volunteer for your subcommittees. And if you have anything else, please don't be shy.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you for
everyone.
taking the time today. We appreciate you.
Appreciate
Have a
you
great
too.
day.
Okay. Thanks so much.
So, okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.